Hello, my dear friend, and welcome again to the Jeffrey Breedwell audiocast. That is me. I am high. I'm high? Well, dude, I'm totally high, man. Yeah, I've actually never really been high in my life. I just get high off of my life because I am autistic and ADHD, and it's fun because I can just riff off of stuff. So, yeah. People think I'm high, but dude, I'm totally not, because I can tell you, this one is a little, it's a little tea heavy. It's a little tea heavy. I hope you brought your tea and you're going to sip it, or your lemonade or your coffee or your energy drink, or, something in like a Naruto cup. If you're into Naruto, or your favorite cup, whatever it is, you're driving on the way to work. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. This one, as soon as it wasn't too long after I posted the blog about being vindicated, about having LBee Health do it and giving me that diagnosis, and the fact that I was like, oh man, LBee Health is like the greatest thing since sliced bread. Like, I sang their praises, right? My bad. And that's the title of this one. My bad, gang. The LBee Health situation. That's the title of this week. And this one was written on July 2nd, 2025. And yeah, I take it back. But I will tell you that at the time of that writing, this is everything that I'm going to say here on out is from the time of writing. I do not know what LBee Health is doing now. I do not know what is happening with them, or if they're still doing it. So I'm just giving you this snapshot in time of what happened on July 2nd, 2025, and how I'm kind of walking back the endorsement. Okay. Also, I need to say this. I will be doing some voices, as you're probably accustomed to by now, in regards to like different people or different things. None of them are meant derogatory or mockingly. Just putting it out there. But it's just to easily differentiate who is talking and who's not. Okay. So here we go. My bad, gang. The LBee Health situation. Last month, I wrote a blog about how I got a diagnosis of autism. Pairing that with my ADHD diagnosis, I'm officially ADHD. It's there, black and white and red all over. But in less than 30 days, the company I endorsed, LBee Health, is imploding. Ugh. What am I supposed to do here? I praised LBee Health in that post, and according to some users, things aren't lining up. A Reddit post from a few months ago cited a lack of excellent communication regarding accommodation forms for work. The back and forth ultimately left the user incredibly angry with the process. The user, U strong-store5990, ended the post by saying, "The reality is that these people have no idea how to communicate, and I very much got the vibe that they don't actually give a shit about you. At least, they didn't give a shit about me." This brings us to a significant meltdown that began late last night and continued today with Lauren Howard, the owner of LBee Health. As I said in Vindicated, she goes by @L_2 on Threads. And now, things have gotten heated. This thread post, which I will read, by user @ashleys.etc, broke down everything from a journalistic perspective. Why I'm speaking. As a registered social worker and late diagnosed autistic person with complex trauma, I've spent my life navigating systems that promised care and delivered harm. I'm sharing this to protect others from a growing pattern I see in the wellness space, specifically around LBee Health and its founder, Lauren Howard. Disclaimer. These are my personal views, and I am not speaking on behalf of any organization or regulatory body. I speak from lived and professional experience in alignment with my ethical duty to promote public awareness and client safety. Okay, I'll take ominous openings for 100, Alex. Let's continue. 2. Misrepresented professional identity. On March 14th, 2025, Lauren Howard appeared on a podcast where the host introduced her as a mental health professional. She didn't correct this. No public licensing records show she is regulated as a psychologist, psychotherapist, or social worker in either the United States or Canada. Number 3. Misleading corporate framing. In marketing and on Threads, Lauren refers to herself as CEO of a mental health platform. However, according to @PlumJenny and @BlackSpectrumScholar research, Florida lists her records as manager of an LLC, not CEO of a regulated clinic. She holds a Bachelor's of Arts in journalism, not a clinical credential of any kind, in any state. Positioning LBee Health as a clinical provider is misleading and obscures its real structure and oversight. Okay, the legal records of Florida are a red flag. A BA in journalism, though? I mean, sure, but LinkedIn isn't the best place to represent where your degrees are from. In all fairness, anyone can make up a degree on LinkedIn. And yes, I have thought about giving myself a doctorate in fertility to make myself Dr. Breedwell. Anyway, moving on. 4. Clinical oversight still unclear. @L2 has graced our algorithms for months now with snappy one-liners that most of us recognize by now. Interact with this post if you're looking for an adult autism assessment. All info at lbhealth.com/adult. What we didn't find? Who performs these assessments, clinical qualifications or licensing info, and whether they are recognized for accommodation or disability documentation purposes. And all the info at the widely circulated link is poof. Number 5. Update. Timeline matters. Just yesterday, June 29th, 2025, @L2 reposted the same LBee Health link that dozens of users have flagged for lack of clarity around clinical oversight and privacy protections. Number 6. Archived privacy policy, peer support, plus research by @PlumJenny. The archived policy shows LBee Health is not HIPAA covered and may share client data with third parties without federal privacy protection. Here's the archival link. This raises urgent concerns around jurisdiction, data security, and protections, especially for Canadians. Number 7. Community labor without compensation. @BlackSpectrumScholar, Callie, has shared that she was asked to provide unpaid feedback on a podcast episode. Labor that supported LBee's public messaging but was not credited or compensated until she called Lauren Howard out publicly. In trauma-informed spaces, unpaid labor from Black and disabled thinkers isn't just unethical. It's straight-up extraction, especially when used to build legitimacy for a brand now under scrutiny. @BlackSpectrumScholar writes, when Victor Perez was killed, L2 recorded a podcast episode, and she was clearly unprepared. She asked me to listen and provide commentary. Multiple times, she described him as 16 when he was actually 17. She framed him as a target because of his size, ignoring that he was a brown disabled teenager surrounded by 4 adult men who shot a dozen bullets into his body. Number 8. Narrative control and red flag behavior. Multiple users reported that comments raising concerns about licensing, ethics, and privacy were deleted or hidden. Paired with quietly removed privacy policy and vague professional claims, and the numerous stories shared on Threads yesterday, it all adds up. Red flag. Suppressing questions. Red flag. Controlling narrative. Red flag. Avoiding accountability. Okay, those are some scaling accusations with receipts. It should be noted that at the time of the writing on LBee Health website, the external links are dead on the site, including the privacy policy and the terms of service. Here's what Lauren Howard had to say before she suspended her account last night. I have stayed quiet and out of this whole my attorneys do the whole work. But now I'm reporting people to the FBI, local law enforcement, and Canadian law enforcement. It was bad enough when every fucking thing you were saying was lies, but lying about my business partner and trying to dox him? This is now criminal, And I'm not fucking around. Sheesh. Reporting people to the FBI and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, or RCMP, for things on threads? Color me intrigued by legal basis for this. No wonder the account was inactive this morning. Lauren posted the following statement this morning after the account came back online. We are trying to respond to all of the concerns that you shared and are doing our best. We take every single one of them seriously. All of us are focused on what's in the best interests of the patients. 1. Our patient communication are driven entirely by internal SLAs based on the time period prior to the appointment or our required response times to communications. We do not respond ever based on social media activity, as this is entirely unethical. These are scheduled in advance to ensure appropriate timeline delivery. Further, cancellations only come at patient request and are provided promptly. We have shared many times that we do not respond to posts about care. 2. Every provider is licensed and credentialed for the services they provide. Most of them are legally allowed to practice in at least 44 states, with several permitted in all 50 under individual state laws. We schedule specifically based on their coverage areas and the state consultation laws. We would not be able to get our insurance contracts without these licenses. 3. Our average appointment time is 94 minutes. The providers also spend time reviewing written information as well as family childhood reports and compiling that into their report. The raw data is compiled into a report based on their session note-taking and information from data review. 4. We are fanatically compliant with all laws, especially those related to patient policy. Our website privacy policy is not our HIPAA policy. Our HIPAA policy is in our consents and is signed off by patients who receive clinical services. Our HIPAA protected information goes through an entirely different system. Consumer information happens on the website. Clinical information happens in the EHR and the HIPAA compliant programs. Not all services that we provide are clinical. Our website policy is just that, a privacy policy for a website that has been written and signed off by our exceptional legal team. Our patient consents, however, review legal privacy laws for the locations required, with privacy policies broken down by state as required by law, and those are governed by HIPAA or provincial laws as designated in the documents. 5. As a non-clinician, I can own a lay entity but not a professional entity. This is the same structure as nearly every other large telehealth healthcare company that practices in multiple states. We have a management services agreement between my company, the MSO, and our care entity, the PLLC. This has to be owned by a clinician. Clinicians cannot work for businesses owned by lay individuals. This is to keep business interference out of care decisions. They are employed by our care entity, which is owned by my partner, a 53-state licensed clinician with additional credentials in several other countries and territories. 6. Yesterday, an attempt was made to dox my business partner by making the wholly compliant and correct structure seem nefarious in some way. Untrue things were said about his history and his practice. Law enforcement was already involved due to the previously received death threats, and they are now taking this just as seriously. My business partner is a black, neurodivergent physician who did nothing and deserves to be protected, regardless of the aggressor. We're focused on providing accessible care to as many people as possible, as evidenced by the cost of our assessments, the wide acceptance of insurance, and the ease of scheduling. We will strive to continue to do so in every way that we can. Okay, the legal format here immediately caught my eye. A team, possibly with the assistance of AI, drafted this with damage control in mind. It's interesting to note what's lacking in this post. There's an absence of addressing customer concerns. Addressing patients via social media isn't unethical by itself. It kind of usually goes like this, like at clinician. I had a terrible experience. I tried contacting people and I can't get through. At patient, oh my, that's terrible. Let's continue this in our DMs. It's that easy. If patients can't get in touch with anyone, then that opens a black hole of accountability where all communication is lost and everyone gets away with everything. Responding to patients, like in the example above, is the standard for a reason. It works. The post doesn't do anything to restore the public trust in LBee Health either. While she does mention HIPAA, and I recall filling out HIPAA forms in my diagnosis paperwork, she doesn't elaborate further on the privacy policy beyond stating that it is, quote unquote, just that. It doesn't explain why it was removed. That being said, deep breath. LBee Health has lost my endorsement. I can't, in good conscience, tell people to visit their website knowing that I could place them, their private data, and their mental health in danger. For that, I am deeply sorry. However, if you did get a diagnosis from LBee Health, I need you to know one thing. Your diagnosis is still valid. If you need to, consider getting a second opinion from a local specialist by bringing the report to your doctor as evidence that a specialist is needed for a second opinion. You don't need to do this if you don't want to. You are awesome just the way you are. Your diagnosis isn't any less valid now that the company is imploding. The statement released this morning reads more like a legal memo than a conversation with a community. Whether it was written by a person, a PR team, or generated with AI assistance, it fails to address the heart of the matter, the lived experiences of the patients it claims to serve. If you are seeking support, please don't hesitate to ask questions. Stay curious. Look local when you can, but never let the noise of controversy erase the quiet, personal revelation of finally understanding yourself. Look local when you can, but never let the noise of controversy erase the quiet, personal revelation of finally understanding yourself. I didn't get clarity because of LBee. I got clarity because I'm autistic. And no headline, rating, thread post, or Reddit thread can take that away. With all my heart, Jeffrey Breedwell. Okay, so that being said, and again, all the voices used for that were not meant derogatory in any way towards anyone. And I know I probably slipped through different specific ranges of accents, especially during the long legal format thing. The statement from LBee Health, the 6-pointed statement from that. Yeah, so there's that. But I do need you to know that if you want to look at the receipts yourself and you want to look at exactly everything that is on there, you can go to my website, Jeffrey, GEOFFREY, breedwell.com/blog. And again, the blog you're looking for is My Bad Gang, the LBee Health situation. Look at that, and I've got all of the different ones up there. I've got every single receipt and tweet there, or not tweet, but every single thread post posted in there, so that you can see the receipts for yourself. Stay curious. As I said, do your own due diligence if you want, if you have this thing. If you're not, and you just wanted to see what had happened within the LBee Health situation, that's what happened. That's it. It is simply a good case for fraud and misleading, and then using people's medical data for their own profit. Now, is there any proof in either one of those statements? It's not been convicted in the court of law, so no, not proven. But, Ashley's.etc did make a very good case. And especially breaking it down from that journalistic perspective, which is why I use that, 1940s-ish journalistic voice. So there's that. Next week we get into it. We get into it heavy, but it's going to be fun. This time it's actually Star Wars, and we start getting into the transition of the Substack, and I'll explain what had happened during that Substack and why it's so important for you to be subscribed to Substack. So go over there, subscribe to my Substack, rate the audiocast as you can. And if you've done that already, again, share it with your friends. Be like, hey, this dude is crazy. What happened? He did all of these voices. Look at him. Oh my gosh. He shared all of this tea. Or if you know some friends who are in the mental health situation that they're in, or the mental health community, you can share this audiocast with them as well. I highly recommend it, and they can go to the website and look at the receipts for themselves. You are fantastic. You are a person who is worth every bit of pain and problems that comes with all of this. And I really hope that your mental health, you view that with the same amount of urgency. Your mental health is everything. That all being said, my name is Jeffrey Breedwell. I'll catch you next time.